Welcome to the Post for All Season Sports Show. I'm sports editor Drew Rubenstein. I'm with publisher Dave Raese. And Dave, we've been talking a little bit about season openers for the Mountaineers and kind of coming out of Saturday's opener against William and Mary, where nobody probably expected WVU to be in a 10-point hole at halftime and overcome it. A lot of people wondering if the sky's fallen and it's doomsday for the Mountaineers, but really, when you look at it, a few seasons have been defined by the opener in WVU football history, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we've gone over, and obviously, winning the first game is a big deal. I think if the team finishes 12-0, no one's going to care that we beat William and Mary by only 7 points. If we're 1-11, no one's going to care that we beat William and Mary by 7 points. It's the game's over with, and you move on from there, and you learn from that. And a lot of people think that maybe we were holding back a little bit because we didn't want to show Oklahoma everything. And so I think, they got to win. They did come back. Their defense tightened up. And so a sigh of relief, so to say. And then our big test is this Saturday. That's the big test for West Virginia there, is that Saturday.
Right, and you look back, I mean, most recently, you even look at last season's performance against Marshall, and not that the season completely fell out of the bottom, but they scored 69 points against Marshall and then continued that for a few weeks, but then really that season was defined with what happened later in the year. Do you think, I guess looking at this team and this season, the way the schedule is made up though, is the defining moment, or at least one of them this upcoming Saturday with Oklahoma? How much will we really learn about this West Virginia team on Saturday?
Well, I think we'll learn more. I think the Oklahoma defense will probably definitely put more pressure on our offense to perform better, and I think that the defense, looks like it's not going to be the Oklahoma offense of last year, which is, good news, I'm sure, for West Virginia. But I'm sure they'll have a potent attack and probably be a little more physical than William and Mary. So I think it'll be a better test for West Virginia, and then we'll find out, where we are from there.
I guess if you can go back and thinking of some past WVU football seasons, I think back to 2005 even, and not to compare this year to that because we'll see how things play out, but in that 05 season, they had quite a few young players trying to fit roles for the first time. That was Pat White didn't even become the full-time starter until 7 games into the season. Steve Slayton didn't even come off the bench in the season opener. Do you think this WVU team in some ways could be similar, that there could be some stars waiting that we just don't know who they are yet at this point?
Well, I don't know about quarterback, where we have a Pat White sitting in the wings. We may have a Steve Slayton in the wings. Not that our starters did well. I think the rushing game did very well against William and Mary. So always that possibility. This is Coach Holgerson's, I think, 3rd recruiting year, but probably 2nd full. And so it'd be interesting to see, if he does have some of those, unsung players ready to make a big splash on the scene. But I would say quarterback, I think everybody sort of knows what we have, unless Clint Trickett is somebody that we haven't got to see a lot of yet. So maybe we'll get to see more of him in the Oklahoma game.
And because you look at both quarterbacks, and I think back to some other seasons and wonder what you think, where I don't know that you really get a full gauge of what a quarterback brings to the table until he's in a situation where the team's either trailing or they're in a tight game, and you kind of see who has that it factor that a lot of people talk about. You just see how a guy responds under intense amount of pressure, and you can't really manufacture that in scrimmages. And even though the William and Mary game was close, it's not the same as if WVU's down 6 points at Oklahoma and Clint Trickett's on the field. WVU needs to go 85 yards. Thinking back to some other seasons like that, are there examples that WVU fans didn't really realize what they had until guys got thrown into those situations?
Well, yeah, I would say so. I can't remember at the top of my head, but we have had a lot of quarterbacks, and like you say, usually there's someone waiting in Major Harris didn't quite start off as a starter. They worked him in eventually when things weren't going real well, and of course, I don't think anybody knew what we had there, just as we did the same with Pat White. But I can say we have it's pretty known commodities right now, except for the possibility of Clint Trickett. But certainly, I'm sure Florida State's really happy right now with that redshirt freshman quarterback they have. And I don't think anybody's going to ask too many questions about him. So, but he could have a rougher game, but he looked awful good yesterday. And I don't think West Virginia has got that kind of performance that like Florida State had last night.
What's important for coaches to do in this type of situation where there are some unknowns, and the team is still trying to gel. They're still trying to figure out who they can turn to in crucial situations. What does Dana Holgorsen need to do to kind of, especially going into Oklahoma, in terms of just coaching and teaching up the team when they don't really know what they have yet? What's important for a coach to do in that situation?
Well, I imagine just to keep doing what he's been doing. I mean, he certainly knows, the offense particularly, and I'm sure it's just to stress to every player out there, hey, your positions are still open. Keep trying, keep hustling, show me what you have, and you might be playing next week or the week after that. So it's important to keep everybody, focused, and that they could be playing at any time this season.
All right. Thanks, Dave. I appreciate you joining us, and please continue to check ddpost.com leading up to Saturday's game. We'll have a few more videos and photo galleries and everything to keep you posted on the Mountaineers' trip out to Oklahoma. Thanks for joining us.